This Road Dirt presentation is brought to you by Law Tigers, motorcycle lawyers. Find them at lawtigers.com. Hey, this is Rob with Road Dirt, and we are joined by Ted Edwards up in the Pacific Northwest. He is at the Ridge Motorsports Park in Shelton, Washington, for the MotoAmerica races going on this weekend. Ted, how you doing out there, man?
Sweating like a dog, man. It's the hottest day in recorded history in Shelton. Shelton's a coastal town. You know, temperatures in the high 70s is hot.
Yeah.
So when it's in the 80s, it's really hot. 90s is unthinkable. Forecasted high today is 109. So Death Valley ain't got nothing on Shelton. So 109, you can imagine what the track temperatures are.
Oh my gosh. The worst weekend in recorded history there. And you're out on the top. I imagine on the concrete, on the pavement, on the tarmac, it's got to be 120 plus out there.
Yeah, just the black asphalt, you can feel the heat coming up through your shoes. The heat, in fact, is actually worse for the riders because as they're doing their podium presentations, they can feel the heat just baking them inside their leathers. Talking to Caleb DeCarroll about it today, he was doing his podium presentation. He said, the racing's not bad because you're moving, but as soon as you stop moving, you have to go on the podium, you get your trophy, you're pausing for photos. You can just feel it baking through your leathers, and it doesn't take very long to lose a lot of that water that those guys have been trying to build up so long. So they really have to stay hydrated.
Yeah, and I hope you are too, man. You're looking good. Guzzle in the water. Just keep it coming, man. So how's the racing been?
The racing has been interesting. You would think that the heat would affect people, but talking to a lot of riders, Jake Gagne, talked to Max Flinders about it today, talked to Caleb DeCarroll yesterday. Ironically, they all say the same thing. The heat is the same for everybody. Everybody has the same temperatures. Everybody rides on the same hot racetrack. Although a few of them are dealing with it a little differently. Jake Gagne said he's going to run a lot lower tire pressure to try to deal with the heat. So when his tires come up to temperature, they're not overinflated. Caleb DeCarroll at his post-race conference yesterday said he is definitely going with a harder front. He feels like that's what cost him the first place finish yesterday. Max Flinders today said, I'm not doing anything different. I'm keeping the same setup, and I'm just going for it.
Well, there you go. For sure, man. You've had a good time around the track. Tell us a little bit about what you've been able to be involved in, what you've done around there, who you've talked to, and what you've gotten to be a part of.
I've actually been spending a lot of time in the media tent because from there, it's actually a great place to watch the whole races versus being out in the grandstands and just baking. But it's been great to just walk by the paddock, talk to each of the racers, and they're more than happy to talk to you, which is one of the great things about MotoAmerica. It's national level road racing, but with the family feel. You can walk right down the paddock, you can talk to the racers, get autographs, and they're more than willing to talk to you. So it's been great to build relationships with all these guys. Because after all, road dirt, that's what we're all about.
That's what we're all about, man. Yeah, for sure. So and you've had some great interviews. We're actually going to be posting some on podcasts and embedded in articles. You've interviewed current point standing leader Jake Gagne, who's dominating with the Attack Performance Yamaha Fresh and Lean bike. Then talked with Caleb DeCarroll, who's actually one of the Twins Cup contenders. Is he currently still ahead in the points right now in Twins Cup?
Well, Caleb had an interesting view on that yesterday. He came in second, but the people who were behind him in the points race didn't finish high enough to gain many points. He was still disappointed because he says Twins Cup super competitive. Every point counts. He finished second, which still got him 20 points, but he still said every point matters. You know, a point here, a point there in a competitive class can really make a difference in the championship.
Now, what do the riders think about the Ridge Motorsports Park? And last year was the first year that the Ridge actually was back on the MotoAmerica schedule. I think ever. They'd never been on it before, I don't think. So second year, second day, what's their opinion of the track and everything?
Well, Caleb DeCarroll had a much more interesting view. He said he liked Road America because it's a lot of fast-flowing corners, especially the carousel. Well, the Ridge also has a carousel too, but he said it's a lot of stop and go. You know, you just get enough speed coming out of the carousel, then you have to stop for the big right-hander. Then you get enough speed, and then you come into the keyhole and hard braking. And then, of course, there's a corkscrew mini complex of turns that comes over the Ridge. It's the slowest corner on the MotoAmerica circuit. You're talking first gear, 25 miles an hour, about a 2-story drop. So his opinion was you really can't get a flow because it's such a tight technical circuit. And also, having ridden here myself, what they don't mention is there's 4 very distinct blind corners because part of the track is on the bottom of the ridge and others on top. There's 4 spots where you're full throttle leaned over. And unless you know your reference points, you have no idea where the road is going next.
I was going to ask you about that because I know you've done plenty of track days at the Ridge, at the track that's very familiar to you personally. What are some things that you personally love about the track? Some things that are frustrating about it?
Some things that are going to be very frustrating about it. Max Flinders and I agree. You spend a lot of time on the left-hand corner of the bike, going around the carousel, going around the complex, coming off of the front straight, turns 1 and 3 and 4, big, long, sweeping left-handers. So it really fries kind of the left-hand side of your tire. So then when you go over to the right, you know, that tire hasn't been on the tarmac for a while. It really does adjust your racing strategy a little bit. And you do have to learn the blind corners. Coming around the carousel, you got to make sure you aim for the water tower. And it's a little distracting because you come around the carousel, Mount Rainier's off in the distance, you want to look at it and go, oh, that's gorgeous. And you go, oh, God, that's right. I have to remember to aim for the water tower. So it takes some time to learn the blind corners, learn how to manage the left side of the tire, and just get used to the tight technical nature of it.
Very technical course. What's the overall length of the course? How long is it exactly?
You know what? You're asking, and I'm not exactly sure. I know a good time in the superbike range is about 1:40 to 1:45.
So it's probably a little over 2.5 miles worth. You think maybe right around that 2.5, 2.7, 2.8, something like that?
Yep.
Yeah, more than likely. So, well, boy, with the heat and the technicality of this track, what are some adjustments that the riders are having to make race to race that you've talked to?
Wow, it's been all about tire choice. Like I said earlier, Jake Gagne actually said he's running lower pressure in his tires so they don't increase pressure too much from the heat. Caleb DeCarroll said he chose the wrong front tire, and if you look, he actually lost the place position going into the corkscrew complex because he said, I was on the brakes as hard as I could, and then the rider just outbraked me because I couldn't do anything more with the front tire, so he had to settle for second place. Everybody is having to do with the heat, and I think the difference between the back markers and the front runners is going to be all about tire choice and tire management.
Yeah, for sure. Man, what are they all running on? Are they running on Dunlops this year? Or what are they running?
Everybody's running Dunlops, and everybody just has to make sure they choose the right softness.
That's for sure, for sure. So what else is going on today? What do you got planned?
Actually, they stepped up the timing a little bit because they were short of racers, or excuse me, short of corner workers, and just to get out of the heat. So they moved up the schedule a little bit of today so they can get people out of the heat before it reaches, 109 or 110 air temperature. Yeah. Which means track temperatures, above $125. And man, that's pretty unusual for a coastal town.
Big time, man. It's got to be brutal on that track. Crazy.
Yeah. In fact, if you can't see the sweat pouring down off my face, you don't know how hot it is. I hope the air conditioning in your house is doing well, Rob. You look pretty cool and comfy there.
Fairly cool and comfy. I'm about to let you get cool and comfy because I'm going to turn you loose, man. I know you need to get under cover, get some shade, get some AC, get some water in you. But we appreciate you, Ted, man. It's exciting to get you on a Zoom call and chat you up while you're out there at the Ridge. And best to you. Hope you and the guys, stay safe out there and enjoy the weekend. So we appreciate you tuning in, my friend. This is Rob and Ted from Road Dirt Ride Life. The riders know it.